What is the best way to remain calm? And the answer to that is there is no best way to remain calm, because the more you try and force being calm, just like the more you try to force the present moment and force sleep, these things you cannot naturally force. They come completely in this almost natural inspiration type of way. We've been sold on the way to force relaxation, and it is a complete and utter myth. You might give yourself a little bit better chance to relax. When it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery, the best way to get relaxation is by not needing relaxation. And that goes against basically 99% of the common dogma on social media and YouTube videos. Very similar for the present moment, very similar for sleep. You can give yourself a little bit better chances in certain scenarios, but you're not going to be able to force these things in the way that you imagine. And when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery, the more you try to force them, the further away it gets from your perception. Before we go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button, comment down below. If you're interested in our coaching and webinar services, please email info@ocdrecovery.com. We will get back to you in a timely fashion. So today I want to talk about things that really cannot be forced. And I want to talk specifically about relaxation and what people will call calming the mind. And this goes all the way down from like forceful yoga meditation, forceful mindfulness, trying to force the present moment, all the way down to the supplement industries trying to give you all these different supplements to force calm and everything. And there's nothing wrong with supplements, and there's nothing wrong with yoga, and there's nothing wrong with mindfulness, but the balance is key. When it comes to the present moment and relaxation, it is not something that you can grip and grasp, especially when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery. So I have a book here I haven't read by Ellis. I just use this in the Fear of Fear book, and this is How to Control Your Anxiety Before It Controls You. I do recommend going through the books on the reading list at ocdrecovery.com, going through those books. Once you have time, go through these books, and yeah, you could add some of these in. I'm in the middle of nowhere right now, so I have no idea what's gonna come by me. I mean, who knows back here? A deer could run by me. I'm literally in the middle of this peninsula. So I want to start off with a couple things that I was reading in this chapter before, and I think this is really, really, really important. Okay, so in this particular chapter, what someone will try and do when you're trying to force something, when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery, what you do is you run around in circles trying to get this feeling. It's a feeling you're chasing. It's not just relaxation. It's a feeling of anything. It's a feeling of happiness, a feeling of joy, or getting rid of feelings. So you're running from that depersonalization, derealization. You're running from that lack of connection. So in this particular example in this book, it's talking about tolerating and staying in anxiety-provoking situations. And I want to read you the opening of this particular chapter and how this relates to not being able to force the calmful moments that you think you can force, okay? The trouble with most anxiety-provoking situations is that you can somehow manage to escape them. Thus, if you are panicked about speaking in public, you can easily avoid speaking. Thus, if you're panicked about trying to be calm, you can force trying to be calm way too much. It works in the same way. Forceful yoga, doing 2 hours of yoga a day. Paul Little talked about this. He went out to Hawaii and got his yoga instructor. He was doing all sorts of stuff. It's not just Paul. This is among thousands of people who have anxiety. And again, the balance is key. And there's nothing wrong with yoga, and there's nothing wrong with meditation. If you're using yoga and meditation as a forceful way to escape discomfort, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. If you are terrified about approaching attractive people for dates, you can avoid attractive people. Whenever you avoid alarming situations, you almost always increase your anxiety about them, for you most often tell yourself, if I spoke in public, I would be bound to do quite poorly, I would be laughed at, and it would feel like I'm an idiot. For this one, it would be something like, if I couldn't be calm, it would be the worst thing ever. I can't stand not being calm. I need to force calm. I have to compulsively meditate. I have to compulsively chase yoga. So avoidance of doing something you are greatly afraid to do, in this scenario, it's actually facing discomfort. You are bringing along a temporary relief. So compulsions do give us temporary reliefs. It just doesn't do for us what we think it does. So you're almost always going to increase your anxiety in the long term. And that is really, really important. I'm going to put that book down. So Let's talk about some of the common compulsions that I see when it comes to people trying to force a feeling of calmness. Okay, compulsive exercising, compulsive yoga and meditation, like we already covered, compulsive mindfulness, where you're basically trying to force the present moment. I've talked to many sufferers who have been trying to force this awareness of the present moment, and I asked them, how are you doing? And they're like, oh man, I'm still stuck, but I'm just so aware of the present moment. That's a compulsion. And that's a really big problem. Compulsive supplement usages, calm things that say calm on it, gummies. I'm not here to, I'm just saying what I see. I'm not giving advice on this. But compulsive like THC gummies, if you live in a place like Colorado where there's marijuana stores in every corner, you're compulsively trying to chase this particular feeling that you deem higher than chronic suffering. I do recommend going back and watching Jade's recent video. I think it was posted today, which is November 10th. You'll see it. It was like how to recover from OCD. And she talks about it's very understandable why people are trying to run from these uncomfortable feelings, because they're not comfortable and they're not great. I've had everything from stomach, lots of gas, lots of bloating, diarrhea, foggy vision, feeling disconnected, heart palpitations, sweaty palms, lack of concentration, lack of present moment awareness, and all these other things. So it's really important to cover that these are the things that we deem as horrible, then we go round and round in circles trying to escape them. Now, again, I have to say for the 5th time now that yoga and mindfulness can be amazing, but they're not going to give you the relief you're looking for if you're using it as a tactic to escape discomfort. And the reason why I know this is because I know a lot of non-sufferers who compulsively use yoga and compulsively use meditation, and their beliefs haven't changed, so unfortunately they're still chronically stuck in that cycle. They're not as severe as an OCD sufferer, but hypochondriacs, people who have really poor belief systems that have chronic neurosis and panic attacks, all because they are trying to chase this particular feeling of relief and calm. And because it's so easy to sell calm is everywhere. It's, oh, the relaxation bed, the comfort car, the comfort vacation, the perfect travel agent, the perfect flight, anything you can, the perfect dinner, the best seat. It's just like what has happened is we as a society have become so obsessed with comfort, so hyper obsessed with comfort, that we've actually lost the reality of life, and that life for many people is primarily pretty shitty. This is the only time in history where people have been living in a place where we have a lot of comfort, but in the grand scheme of human existence, we have not been calm, especially if you date back thousands of years where, there were, go back 5,000 years, a calm wasn't really a thing. It's, not to get neurological and science, in that realm, but it is fun to talk about. It's more than likely why the fight or flight response is so instilled in our brain, and why the areas of the limbic system in fight or flight haven't really changed over thousands of years. The number one thing that has changed the most is the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive decision-making process. That has grown the most over the last few thousand years. But we have that instilled in us. Humans are pain-feeling creatures, physical pain, mental pain. So it's so key to cover that those are the things that humans feel. So how do you break it down? We talked about already, we went from exposures, okay, what to probably be balanced on or remove for a little bit. Now let's talk about how to actually break it down from a belief perspective. So the exposure is not feeling calm, not compulsively chasing discomfort, because people will do that. I'm not telling you to turn into someone like a David Goggins, who I do like watching for some brutal, just blunt, short bursts of motivation. It's going to last long term. I talk about that motivation is quite fleeting, but if you look at Goggins' messages, he really does talk a lot about discipline, which I do find very inspiring in many ways. So, wearing discomfort. Anywhere, anytime, any place, whenever. People hear me use that exact phraseology when I'm saying it. It's to work, on the vacations, the birth of your children, moving in together, life circumstances. We have a great webinar coming up, and that webinar is called How to Navigate a Complicated World When Dealing with Anxiety. I'm going to talk all about work. I'm going to talk all about all these other things. So super, super, super key to cover that. And so you have to wear it with you. You have to, the internal surrender is, this is what an internal surrender will feel like. So you're basically standing here, like right now, I think I can almost see my breath. It's pretty cold, getting close to the freezing temperatures. And I'm just standing here. I'm just observing. It's cold. I hear some sounds of the trees. I don't see anyone. It's just me by myself. And that's it. I'm just observing. I'm not putting a deadline on anything. I'm just kind of here, allowing myself to experience things in almost a, like introspective type of way. The biggest problem I may, and I can still do it in aspects of my life, is putting deadlines, and those deadlines hold us back. Jade said, I love talking Jade up. I think she's the most elegant speaker ever. And way more than Rugged Rob and I. Rugged Rob and I like that. But Jade said perfectly, she said that you can work towards accepting that even if it came back full force, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I think that is so key to cover and something that's so important. So bring it with you, and then how you break it down behaviorally is the ABCs of the Ellis books, the first book on the reading list. So the activating event is being uncomfortable, right? Physically being uncomfortable, whether it's pain, mental discomfort, whatever it may be. The wind is breezing right now. It's uncomfortable. It's cold as shit. And the belief system would be, no, this is terrible. This is the worst thing ever. I can't stand it. This is horrendous, which would equal, chronically trying to chase calmness and all that type of stuff. So that belief system is not going to come down easily, especially if you're so used to how I was with super low frustration tolerance. But it can be done. And it happens through educating yourself, taking responsibility for your own recovery journey. I think that's very key. And overall, just approaching life through the means of, I'm going to just do what I can to put myself in the best scenario to recover by not avoiding discomfort anymore. I don't need to be calm. Being calm is great. Being present is amazing. There were years where I wasn't present. I mean, I had such bad depersonalization and derealization. Mine just did not turn off until I brought the fear down and really learned to wear it for long periods of time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you're interested in our webinar services, we have a lot of good ones coming up, a lot of life structure ones, ROCD ones, part 1, part 2. Please email info@ocdrecovery.com, and we will see you soon. Have a good one, guys.